A Florida jury has returned a verdict of not guilty in the case of the state of Florida against George Zimmerman in the fatal shooting of Trayvon Martin. You could say that George Zimmerman won his case against the state of Florida. But did anyone actually win in this situation? Hey my friends, it's a late Boy Scout here to chime in and give you my thoughts on this case for the first time. Now, this case has been going on for quite a while. I have purposely not talked about it in any of my videos, but now that the verdict is in, we know how the story ends. We've heard all the testimonies, we've heard all the evidence, and I want to finally give you my thoughts on it now that this verdict is in. Did anybody actually win in this case, in this scenario, in this horrible situation? No, nobody won. George Zimmerman is going to suffer for the rest of his life. He's going to have a hard time getting a good job. He's going to always be associated with the death of Trayvon Martin, this kid that was walking around with a pack of Skittles and an iced tea in his pockets and nothing else. His career, his schooling, every aspect of his life will be affected by this for pretty much as long as he lives. Trayvon Martin, on the other hand, is obviously dead, and his family will be mourning him for a very long time. There are no winners in this case. There was no winner in that fight. This whole thing is just a bad situation for everybody that was involved. As a concealed carry permit holder myself, I want to emphasize what a bad situation this is, because that's something I've always felt about defensive scenarios. Situations you might get into in which you need to defend your life or the life of somebody that you love or care about. That potential situation is one that I seriously dread. But what I dread slightly more is actually being killed myself, or having my wife or one of my children killed in front of me. And that's why I do concealed carry. Seeing the George Zimmerman case unfold, it's easy to imagine a lot of the same hardship and a lot of the same difficult situations happening to you or me as concealed carry permit holders if we should ever end up in the same tragic and unfortunate situation that George Zimmerman was in. Now, we can argue, of course, that George Zimmerman did some foolish things, and that's the reason why he was in this situation where he had to shoot this young man. But we also have to acknowledge that his head was being beat into a sidewalk, and there was a real threat of him being killed that night if he didn't defend his life. Seeing this case unfold and thinking about similar cases always brings a sort of analogy to my mind. It's like acknowledging that your situation is really bad, and you can either let it get worse or make it get a little less worse by defending your life. It's kind of like getting into a car accident. Now, there are a lot of things you may have been able to do to prevent that car accident from ever happening, but once you're in it, all that is past. It's done. There's no more preventing it from happening. You either have your seatbelt on or you don't. You either have an airbag that's going to deploy and stop you or you don't. And that's kind of like having your handgun with you. You can either stop that situation from getting worse or you can't. And in many cases, the seatbelt may cause you some injury, or that airbag may cause you some injury, or some other injury may happen as a result of trying to keep yourself from getting hurt worse. However, how bad is that injury in comparison to what may have happened if you didn't take those preventative measures? Now, as I said before, I purposely stayed away from this subject in my videos, and one of the reasons why is because there's just so much to discuss around this. Did he do something foolish to get himself into this situation? Maybe if he had not followed Trayvon that night, none of this would have happened. We can go for hours talking about all of that, and I don't want to, and that's part of why I haven't made a video on this subject. The only point I really want to drive home here in this video is that there are no winners in this situation. The Martin family is going to be mourning the loss of their son for a long time, and George Zimmerman is going to be having a really difficult time with media attention and much more for the rest of his life. And regardless of who was right, who was wrong, who was innocent, who was guilty, what you and I as concealed carry permit holders need to take away from this is that life is going to turn into hell if we ever have to shoot somebody.